Oh, hello there. You may be wondering why the red suit. Well, that's so trolls can't make fun of my pretty face. Also, I like wearing the suit. I don't like taking that off. Anyway, enough of those shenanigans. Hit it!
X gon' give it to ya. Fuck, wait for you to get it on your own. X gon' deliver to ya. Knock, knock, open up the door, it's real. With the non-stop pop out from stainless steel. Go hard, getting busy with it. But I got such a good heart that I make a motherfucker wonder if you did it. Damn right, and I do it again.
Well, how's it going, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? It is your one and only D-WIZZLE here. Thank you so much for tuning back into my channel. And judging by the get up here, you already know what we're going to get into today. We're going to be talking about Deadpool 2 that came out this past weekend. I did already talk about the first Deadpool that came out a couple of years ago. If you want to check out that, I'll leave a link in the description below so you can watch that, and then you can come back and watch this. Or, if you've already seen the first Deadpool, and you just want to get right into my thoughts about Deadpool 2, then please stick around. Or, if you haven't seen the first Deadpool, first of all, what's wrong with you? Why didn't you see the first Deadpool? But if you didn't see the first Deadpool, and you just want to hear my thoughts about Deadpool 2 anyway, then go ahead and listen on. Even though you might be a bit confused about what's going on, but it was your choice and you don't really care. So, I don't pity you at all. Anyway, let's get right into it. So, Deadpool 2 is not directed by Tim Miller. This time, it's directed by David Lynch, who did Atomic Blonde and John Wick. That's pretty cool. And this movie stars... Okay, hold on. We're going to get the list again because I think the list got longer since the last time. There's a bunch of people in this movie. What's going on? But anyway, here we go. So, Deadpool 2 stars Ryan Reynolds, Josh Brolin, Zazie Beetz, Brianna Hildebrand, Raina Baccarin, Jack Casey, TJ Miller, Julianne Dennison, Stefan Kapakic, Leslie Uggams, Jill Skarsgård, Terry Crews, Shiori Katsuna, Rob Delaney, Louis Tan, Karan Soni, and Eddie Marsan. Oh my gosh. Whew. I'm so glad I got that in one take. Woo. So as most of you already know, I really enjoyed the first Deadpool. It was such a surprise when it came out that year. Most of us thought it wasn't going to be as good as it turned out to be, but it was, and then some. Not only did it redeem that horrible atrocity that they did to Deadpool in that piss-ass film called X-Men Origins Wolverine, but Deadpool has now become a household name. They completely encapsulated the character with the help of Ryan Reynolds, who is Deadpool in everyone's mind, and especially my mind. He was great. You can tell that Ryan Reynolds knew the Deadpool character, and he knew the overall X-Men universe, and he wanted to make sure that it was as accurate as it could possibly be. And it definitely was. So, after the huge success that was Deadpool, of course a sequel was gonna come. Why wouldn't it? A lot of people really enjoyed the first film, so of course they'll be demanding for more. Especially since we saw that little stinger at the end of the first film, where they alluded to the possibility of Cable being in the second film. I definitely was looking forward to seeing what they would do with Cable in a sequel. So the studio decided to give this movie a bigger budget since it proved itself the first time. But it's not going to be too much again. We're going to give you a moderate budget of $150 million. Go ahead and have fun with that. And also Ryan Reynolds gets more creative control, which I heard there was some controversy with that behind the scenes, which was part of the reason why Tim Miller isn't back to direct this, because there was some creative differences between Tim and Ryan, and so they got David instead. That did kind of worried me a little bit, but at the same time, I knew Ryan Reynolds loved the characters, so whatever creative stuff he was thinking about, I guess he wanted to be more comic book centric when it comes to this film, so I wasn't too skeptical about it. I was hoping for the best. Some of the casting choices were also a bit of a head scratcher. For Cable, they decided to get Josh Brolin, and I'm like, weren't you Thanos in that other movie? Why are you hogging all the Marvel stuff, bruh? Like, this dude just can't get enough. What next? Is he going to be Darkseid in the DC universe? I don't know how he got Thanos and Cable, but he's a really good actor, so I was once again looking forward to what he would do. And then we have Zazie Beetz, who is going to be Domino in this movie. First of all, when I heard that Domino was going to be in Deadpool 2, I was very excited. I was like, they should have Domino for Deadpool 2 because the dynamic between Deadpool and Domino are great, and I think it would fit well for a sequel. But when they chose Zazie Beetz to play her, that was a bit of a head scratcher. I also like the actress. I saw some of her work on The Atlanta Show, and she's very, very good. If you guys haven't watched Atlanta, I highly recommend you watch it. It's very good. But kind of a interesting choice there. And also when I saw her design, I wasn't really crazy about it. Definitely did not look like how she was in the comic books. But I was like, if she does a good job, I could probably overlook the fact that she looks so different. I mean, all they did was give her like a birthmark on her left eye, and they let her keep the afro. I do dig the afro, but it just seemed vastly different from the comic books. But like I said, if she does a good job, I could overlook that she looks so different from the comic books. Once again, the marketing campaign is top notch for this movie. Even for like the first couple or first three like trailers or TV spots, whatever you want to call them, they didn't even show that much footage from the movie. It was very meta. The first thing that they did was there was that little teaser that played in the beginning of Logan, where it showed Deadpool seeing a guy getting mugged in the street, and he goes to a telephone booth to change into his red costume, like Superman, and he takes forever to put on the costume, and by the time he gets his costume on, the mugger's already got away, and I think the guy died. I think that was supposed to be a parody of Superman going in the telephone booth and changing, poking fun at how ridiculous that is. Even for me, being a huge Superman fan, I had to admit, getting changed into a costume in a telephone booth is kind of silly, which is what I love about Deadpool, that he pokes fun at the silly tropes that happens in comic books and the cliches. So I thought that was pretty amusing. And then you have promotions where there was that Wet on Wet trailer where he was doing a parody of Bob Ross. That was probably the funniest of the marketing stuff that I've seen from the movie. Just so clever. And once again, barely showed any footage from the trailer. I think that's very smart, because when it comes to trailers these days, they like to show like a bunch of stuff from the movie and barely leave anything for a surprise. It was nice to see that other films like Infinity War barely showed like the main plot points of the film, and it's like the stuff that we saw in the trailer, it was only like a quarter of what happened in the movie. So marketing campaigns like Infinity War and Deadpool, I think, is very, very smart. There was one that was Cable centric, giving a little bit of a tease of his backstory and stuff like that. But then the trailer goes into different direction and starts making fun of VFX. And then there was that little shot at Justice League about the reshoot with the mustache. And then you had Deadpool playing with Cable and Sheriff Deadpool toys while they were getting the VFX done in the middle of the trailer, which was like I said, this is so meta. And then you saw some footage from the movie, but not a bunch. Overall, I thought that stuff was pretty neat. Getting a glimpse of what Cable looks like. Josh Brolin definitely looks the part. And all the stuff in the post-apocalyptic future seems pretty accurate to the character, and him being all stoic and serious and dark. And of course, Deadpool is, making fun of the fact that he's so, dark and sober. So that was pretty cool. And then when they actually show, legit trailers with, footage from the movie and stuff like that, it alluded to the X-Force being introduced in this movie, and I'm like, ooh, that's actually really cool. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what they do with the X-Force. They freaking had Terry Crews in there playing Bedlam, and I'm like, perfect. Just freaking perfect. And they had Shatterstar and that guy that shoots acid out of his mouth. I think like it was acid vomit or stuff like that. But yeah, showing the X-Force in this movie I think is a pretty cool introduction when they actually do an X-Force movie. So definitely was excited for that. So once again, I walked into the theater very pumped for this film, hoping that it would at least give us the same magic that it gave us in the first film. Hopefully be a little bit better. And overall, what did I think about Deadpool 2? I really liked it. It was very good. Yeah, I think this movie is just as good, if not better than the first film. Or at least I think there are aspects of this movie that I think they did better than the first film, which we'll get to later. But once again, have to give praise to Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. He's excellent, as always. I can't think of anyone else playing Deadpool at this moment. Can he just play Deadpool for the rest of eternity? Because I can't think of it. I seriously can't think of anyone else. Good luck to anyone, trying to recast this character after Ryan Reynolds is done. If Disney acquires it, bro, good luck. That's all I gotta say. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. He is pretty much exactly how he is in the comic books. And I felt this movie encapsulated even more the comic book, aspects of the character. And not only Deadpool, but other characters in the X-Men universe. I'm going to skip along to Colossus. He, once again, was great as Colossus. Like, practically how he is in the comic books. I'm going to say this a lot. There's a bunch of things that is just literally straight from the comic books. Colossus, once again, was great. Just as good as he was in the first film, if not better. I love his friendship and his overall dynamic with Deadpool, along with Negasonic Teenage Warhead. She also is back, and I thought she was once again really good. I definitely like the trio that they have there. Their overall chemistry together is great. Pretty consistent to how they were in the first film. What I really liked about Deadpool this time around is that we saw a little bit more of his humanity in this movie. And normally when I say humanity in Deadpool, it's normally not something that interesting because most people just know him as the murdering psychopath that tells a bunch of jokes and breaks the fourth wall all the time, and there's not really much emotion that goes into it. But with this movie, it showed another side of Deadpool that I actually found very welcoming. He's not only just being shown as the killer and the comedian. You show that he actually has care for the, people around him. Just like his overall relationship with Vanessa from the first film. I thought Vanessa was also very good in the movie. I wish she was in the movie a little bit more. She wasn't as well utilized as she should be. But overall, I thought her overall chemistry with Deadpool was just as good as it was in the first film. The lesser main supporting cast, Weasel, Dopender, and Blind Owl, I'm going to put them all in 3 because there's not a lot to say about these 3. But once again, I thought they were really good. Weasel, once again, his friendship dynamic with Deadpool is very good. He also gets some more funny lines to say in the movie. So I thought he was done really well. Dopender gets a little bit more dynamic as a character. He wants to be a mercenary like Deadpool and tries to, follow his footsteps. But of course, Deadpool and Weasel is like, no, I don't think you're ready for that. But he keeps trying to, prove himself as a killer. I thought that was going to get overplayed and tired, but they put him in just enough so I'm not too annoyed of his character. But yeah, overall, I liked him just as much. And Blind Owl, she was once again really good. She was only in like a couple of scenes too. Didn't have a lot to do, but her overall chemistry with Deadpool was really good. They addressed some jokes from the first film. They did some clever stuff in this that I thought was surprisingly clever. We also have a couple of newcomers. There's Yukio, who turns out to be the girlfriend of Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Nice shout out there for the LGBT community right there. Yep, really cool. Though I'm kind of mixed about it because if this is supposed to be the replacement of Yukio from The Wolverine, it makes me a bit sad because I actually really liked Yukio and The Wolverine. But they did establish after the wiping of the timeline in Days of Future Past that, any movie is up for grabs, even the ones that I think are relatively good. So I was okay with it eventually. But I thought Yukio was cute. She didn't have a whole lot to do once again. She played more of a factor towards the end, helping Negasonic and Colossus. But yeah, once again, she didn't have a lot of development. But yeah, overall, I liked her. And then you have the main kid in the movie, Fire Fist. Okay, so at first, I thought the kid was annoying. I didn't really care for him. Though he is the main crux of, the plot going on, because Cable's trying to kill him because of something that he does in the future. Really, that's probably the only thing that kept me invested in Fire Fist for the majority of the film. But when we get to later towards the ending and, he starts to go through more of a dynamic towards the end, I start to be more sympathetic. And also, I could see why he was kind of a douche in the movie because he's been tortured by the humans for most of his life, treating him really badly in the orphanage that he was from. So I do get it from that aspect, but he still acts kind of unlikable. But once again, he doesn't stay that way throughout the entire movie, so I guess I'm fine. I was fine with him. Alright, so let's get to some of the best parts of this movie. Let's talk about Josh Brolin as Cable. I thought he was also excellent. Literally, he is the exact way that he is in the comic books. Josh Brolin is the man. I feel like he can just step into any role and bring that character to life. He is great, and I think he is a very good opposite to Deadpool because he's so serious and straightforward and dark. And then you have Deadpool, who's very comedic and lighthearted, lighthearted and goofy. And seeing these two characters play off each other showed for some very, very good scenes and dynamics. His fight scenes were very entertaining. I liked his design. It was very badass. I liked his robotic arm. I liked his glowing eye. And I liked his assortment of guns that he used. He's still a bit contrived, though. And I felt like that was unavoidable because the Cable in the comic books, surprisingly enough, is more contrived than he was in this movie. I can't even, break down his entire backstory to you guys without you guys feeling confused, because like his overall storyline and origin, it's a mess, because he turns out to be the son of Cyclops and the woman who disguises herself as Jean Grey, but is not actually Jean Grey. And then there's this whole thing with Apocalypse that transformed him into the cybernetic enhancements that he has. And there's some contrived stuff with him going back in time, whether he's able to go back certain ways without his mind getting melted. And then his overall mutant powers are inconsistent because while he has a robotic arm and can travel in different timelines, he also has telekinetic powers, but he can't use the telekinetic powers the whole time because if he uses it too much, it hurts him. It's a mind-numbing experience trying to read Cable comic books. And Deadpool even knows this. When you read whatever comics that Cable and Deadpool are in, he points out how confusing and contrived his overall backstory is, and he pokes fun at it here in the movie as well. But they tried their very best to make as much sense as it possibly could. Of course, there's still some questions going on with his overall time jumping things, and of course there's a lazy writing of, if I go back too far, I won't be able to go back, or I'm gonna lose my mind. That's why I didn't go back farther when the kid was born or whatever. So it's that whole other mess. But if you don't think about it too hard and just, try to accept it as straightforward as it's trying to be, I think he serves it very well. He's a very welcomed addition to the Deadpool cast, so I could overlook it. I know some of you are about to ask me, which one did you think was better? Did you like Thanos better, or did you like Cable better? Don't ask me that question. These are two very different characters. These are apples and oranges. No, I'm not gonna answer that. It's like, I think they're both great in their own way, in their own separate franchises. I think they're both equally as good. Now, yes, we can get down into about character development and design and superpowers and all that stuff, but come on, Russ. I think they're both equally good in their own way. So yeah, don't ask me that. Like, come on, really? No. And of course we have to talk about Zazie Beetz as Domino. She was excellent. She was still in the movie, actually. I didn't expect her to be as good as she was, but she was great. Not only is she just gorgeous, but she was a very interesting character. She was pretty much rivaling Deadpool when it comes to the one-liners and quips. Their overall back and forth I thought were great. I totally forgot about her design being not exactly how she was in the comic books because her character was that good. And not only that, they sold me on her overall superpower, which is luck. And in most people's eyes, they would say luck isn't a superpower. It doesn't really do anything. Even Deadpool says it in the movie. It was like, luck is not a superpower. It's certainly not cinematic. Oh, it definitely was cinematic. They made her powers, tangible, and actually very interesting. Like, it's not just simple, stuff happens her way when she wants to. She creates a sequence of scenarios that happens, with her overall luck, energy powers, stuff like that there was a sequence in the there was a truck chase, and that overall sequence when she was breaking into it, I thought was really good. But yeah, she definitely blew me away, and I want to see more of her. And I almost wouldn't even mind seeing a spin-off of her because I wanted more. I felt like I wanted more from her in this movie. Not like she wasn't like not like she she played little to do, because she did have a significant amount of screen time. But for me, I just wanted to see more of her because she was that good. So yeah, Zazie beats us Domino, a whole lot of yes. I also thought the action sequences in this movie were really good. They were just as exciting as they were in the first film. And I have to give a lot to David Lynch because, of course, he knows action from doing Atomic Blonde and the John Wick movies. So he definitely brought his slick, swift style to the action. And I think this movie was a little bit funnier than the first film. I do think that some of the comedic timing was still better in the first one. This one felt like a little bit more random. But overall, I found myself laughing more than I did in the first film. Just all the references and the shots at other franchises like Marvel and DC. I just thought all that was cleverly done for the most part. There's a couple of lines that I thought, okay, that was kind of forced and that was a bit cheesy. But for the most part, I think it's consistent to what Deadpool is. Not all of his jokes land, and sometimes he gets really crazy and off the wall, and that's exactly what I expected from this film. It kind of like confused me what people were saying about this film, saying that this movie was too over the top for them, or it's like it's so weird and crazy and some of the jokes felt forced. And I'm just like, well, yeah, that's what I expected from the sequel. I didn't expect this to be more grounded or more focused. I expected this movie to be more over the top than the first film, and that's exactly what it was. And like I said, not all the jokes land, but I don't think they're supposed to, because Deadpool, while he does have quite a few funny things to say, there are some things that do feel forced and a bit uncomfortable, but that's pretty much how his character is. So I will say, if you walked into Deadpool 1, not knowing a whole lot about the character, and then walk into this feel like this is too much for you, I get it. Because being taken back, the first film, while it was crazy, it still had a sense of keeping things semi-realistic in certain situations. It was a hyper-realism, I guess, and they set to the rules of that hyper-realism without being too over the top in places. But this one, like when I said that this movie encapsulated more of what the comic books were, it definitely did, because the comic books were so crazy and so over the top and so off the chain. So I see people walking to this feeling like this was too crazy for them, but for me, that's pretty much what I expected, because I know that's how the character is. And then I know some people will be talking about how contrived the plot is with Cable, and as I said before, there's not really much they could have done to make all the stuff with Cable make sense. They did the best of what they could, but with the stuff that was contrived, that's what I expected. Of course the stuff with Cable is going to be contrived, and Deadpool makes fun of it. So for me, it's like Deadpool establishes that, when it comes to the cliche stuff and the lazy writing, I feel like he gets a little bit more of a pass because he's aware of this stuff happening. If we're talking about this stuff in a regular X-Men film, I would be really upset about it. But overall, I could accept it because I feel like they did make it cliche and lazy on purpose to make fun of it. Now, it's up to you guys to determine whether you felt that's clever or not. And some people may think it's stupid still, and I get it. But this is what I expected. I expected Deadpool to be stupid. There is another villain that shows up in this movie. I'm not going to spoil who for people who haven't seen it yet. But I definitely lost my mind when I saw him. He is a well-known X-Men villain, and they pretty much redeemed him from the first time they tried to do an interpretation of him. So I'm not gonna say who, but I thought that character was perfect. There was a fight scene with Colossus towards the end that I thought was great. I think it was better than the first film. And the opening title sequence was hilarious. I'm not going to spoil that. And then there are 2 post-credit scenes towards the end that I thought were brilliant. I'm not going to say what it is. I just want you guys to experience it for yourself. But it was great. But yeah, overall, I have to say that Deadpool 2. Okay, I tried to do this whole review with this mask on, but it's getting really hot, and I'm sure you guys want to see my face now. So I'm gonna. Okay, so overall, I enjoyed Deadpool 2 quite a bit. I'll have to watch it a couple more times to see if I genuinely think it's better than the first film, because I'm still on the edge. I do think it's pretty much as good as the first film. And if you did ask me which movie I prefer to watch, the first one or the second one, I would say I prefer to watch this one more, because I feel there's more going on with the plot, and there's more fan service with this one that doesn't feel too forced, and I felt myself laughing a little bit more with this movie. But I do understand that there is some problems that aren't consistent with the first movie, like the comedic timing, some of the lazy writing, some character motivations weren't fully consistent, and there were like a couple of characters that kind of got the short end of the stick when it comes to screen time. Also, I forgot to mention the stuff with the X-Force. Lower your expectations. That's all I'm gonna say. But overall, I enjoyed myself with this movie. I can't wait to see it again, and I'm definitely gonna buy it on Blu-ray when it comes out. But yeah, I'll possibly do a spoiler review later on. I know there's a couple of people that want to talk with me about it, so we'll see if we'll do it. I'm not for sure. But overall, I did have a good time with this movie, and I highly recommend seeing it if you guys haven't seen it already. And overall, I give Deadpool 2 a B+. Yeah, very good film. Very, very good. Just as funny as the first film. Very solid sequel. Alright, so what did you guys think about Deadpool? If you guys seen it already, did you guys love it? Did you guys just like it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? Let me know. I will see you guys next time when I review Solo: A Star Wars Story. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys as always for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Well, how's it going there, boys and girls? It is your one and only Deadpool here. Thank you so much for tuning into D-WIZZLE's channel. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up down below. You can go ahead and leave a comment, but please, don't leave douchey, assholey, troll comments. That is a total dick move. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to my friend's channel to be updated on future videos that handsome devil will be doing. And if you don't, I know where you live, and I will come find you. Have a nice day.